Hot, hot, hot. How you feeling? Hot, hot, hot. Hot, hot, hot. Oh my word. How hot is it? Oh, I'm all wonky. Oh well, no change there. So I'm not coming on very often these days, owing to the fact that there are so many adverts. In fact, I find it very difficult to listen to anything on YouTube these days because of the adverts. Just so much interference, and that really is a metaphor for everything that I feel is just speeding up and becoming so intense in our programming. It's like ascension or dissension. Sometimes it feels like descension with all the distraction and the noise and the pressure. I think it's like being in a pressure cooker. It's the boiled frog situation. You don't even know you're in a pressure cooker until your leg falls off. And it's like, so the process of becoming more and more aware and more expanded in consciousness. No one said it would be easy. Sorry to quote Sheryl Crow. No one said it would be this hard. I have a song for everything. That comes from teaching songs for 25 years and being a musician. What can I say? Sometimes I do have to sing it, I just have to sing it. And in fact, my experience over the past 2 years, 3 years has been very intense as the thought processes and the memories of trauma seem to be rearing their ugly little heads, and it seems to be apparently necessary for that to come up and out. And I find that usually full moons used to be quite enjoyable, feeling the energy of the full moon and dancing perhaps under the stars, but these days it's more like hiding under the duvet and hoping I get through. I don't know whether that's my Saturn return, a second Saturn return, slightly concerning. It's like I've made friends with Kronos now, but wow, just when you think you're getting on top of things, there's a whole other layer to reveal. And the digging, it never seems to stop. The things that I've realized, some things that I've realized, and when I say realized, it's mutable. It's not necessarily how it is, but as one focuses one's attention through the act of observance, reality appears. Now, that also is reflected as a latent effect according to your state of consciousness and what you're carrying. And I have had to question myself, what on earth am I carrying? Because this reflection is like a fairground mirror, and I don't really want it to be like that. And I don't know if anyone else is going through this. I think the thing that I found is that, it's been really good because the sort of encrusted lime scale on the negative aspects of the ego has definitely had a good old hammering. But as one's ego is dissolved, it does feel sometimes like you're a crab without a shell. And well, I felt like that anyway. And, there's sort of nowhere to hide. And the ego, and I don't care what anyone says, get stuffed if you don't agree. I just don't care. The ego, or the negative aspects of the ego, of course, we need a self to function through, but I'm talking about the negative aspects of the ego, which equate to the thought processes that are in alignment with the old narrative. So the way that one has to navigate through this old crud of a world and expand the consciousness to a greater state of being, it seems that that process is perhaps sometimes harder than one thinks. Just when you think that you've let go, you haven't, or there's more to let go of, or it comes back, or it's a boomerang, the boomerang effect. Yeah, the psychological boomerang, that's really something. So the thing is that, we do know that the act of observance changes things. Schrodinger's cat is, excuse me, that's my alarm. I've got an hour before I start proper work. So Schrodinger's cat, the act of observing something changes it. So we know that as we are the observer of the observer, the awareness of awareness, to quote somebody, it's like, okay, so we become aware of these things. And, oh my gosh, it's like a chasm sometimes of stuff. And all I just want to do is find a chain and go, flush. And I do, but it takes time. And I think the hardest thing is that if you're, yes, going back to the ego, if your ego is dissolving, and you're still in a world that doesn't reflect where you actually are, you find yourself perhaps in a world where other people's egos are very spiky or impose, or you can say something to them and then they say it back to you as if you've not said it. It's like because they know, and it's this whole status thing and comparison thing, where people tend to just, they're the ones, they know. And I've seen so many people on this particular platform who are spouting they know best, and it's like, well, actually no, it's not really like that. It's if there's a current, you don't say, oh, the person at the head of the current knows best. It's not that. The current is the current. The current is the frequency. Current is the the light or the sound. And it's kind of like, well, we're all in this together, and we're all here to help each other. And it just seems to me that sometimes I'm speaking personally here, because I don't subscribe to the usual kind of what's the word? I don't even know. Modus operandi. I'll just say that. The usual modus operandi. It's very difficult to squeeze myself into a round hole from a square peg, or the other way around. And I'm finding that more and more. And it's, I'm doing the inner work, which is like just endless sweeping, really, spiritual sweeping. And I'm also helping others in that way as well, and also researching the actual scientific effects of tuning forks and sound and so on and so forth, which hopefully will be coming out in an article soon, which I'll read perhaps online when that is out. So, it's kind of, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you've got, on the one hand, you've got all this wonderful knowledge and revelation coming out, and things, the veil is thinning in certain areas and the consciousness is expanding. But in that expansion, there's all these trite people saying, oh, you'll never be given more than you can cope with. It's like bollocks, actually. That's not true. I think the message here is to know when to say no. That's enough. As somebody amazing said to me last week, they don't have a body. They know what it's like to be in a physical body. Divine spirit, hello. We're in physical bodies. And sometimes the collateral damage of that expansion is palpable in the terms of, ouch, that hurts. So I don't know, if this makes sense to anybody, all well and good, but I think probably 9 minutes and 13 seconds is probably enough for me to be wobbling on. So I'm still here, but I will probably not be on YouTube very much. The inner revelations are sometimes too difficult to actually even talk about, aren't they? But the ego, and living in that state of vulnerability, it's like a different kind of strength that is required to navigate what's going on. And if you're a sympathetic and empathetic person, and you're going to feel a lot. And so I'm learning how to alchemize those things, because you know, you can alchemize your own stuff and then you've got everybody else's as well. Oh shit. Anyway, be great to connect with whoever connects, and if you don't, then that's fine too. So wishing you all well in this very strange, odd, weird and wonderful life that we're living in. May your memories return. Mine certainly have. Oh boy. On every level. Now, how do I get this to turn off? That's the question. Where is it? Where's the off button? I still can't find it. I don't know. Oh, the end stream. Big clue there.